What's going on, nerds? Welcome back to Comic Book Nerd Nation, episode 127 this week. We got a very special episode. It's myself, yours truly, Fox2, and Sean Forney's joining me.
How's it going?
So it's just the two of us this week. We had quite a few scheduling conflicts with the regular crew, and Sean's got some stuff he wanted to talk about. He reached out to us, and we got some really exciting news and stuff to talk about for him. So it kind of everything worked out, and he bailed me out a little bit this week. So this will be our 127th week in a row without missing a weekly podcast, and it got close, but you bailed us out, man. I appreciate it.
Oh, that's hey, glad it worked out. That's impressive though. 127 weeks. Wow.
Yeah, I'm to be perfectly honest with you, I'm shocked that we've made it this far, because early on we had some real struggles, like trying to find a night that four adult guys could get together and like spend an hour just bullshitting about comics. It was tough for a while.
Oh yeah, I don't doubt that.
So it's really hard, man. People's schedules and everything. And speaking of schedules, you've been really busy lately, haven't you?
Yeah. Let's see. The end of February, we started our convention season basically, and we did. I think. Let's see what it was. It was like we did Wizard World Cleveland at the end of February. I think maybe we had like a free weekend, and then we did Lexington Comic and Toy Con.
How was that? How was Lexington?
Lexington was good. I like going down there. It's a neat city.
That's one of my favorite ones, I think.
Yeah, I enjoy the show. I enjoy the people that run it. I get to see a handful of friends. That's one of the few shows I get to see them throughout the year and all that kind of thing. So I did that. That was good. We I think went straight from there to C2E2, and that was just nuts for trying to plan for it, get out there and all that. And then Gem City in Dayton. So it was like we had all those right in a row, or maybe there was like a weekend off somewhere in there. I can't even keep track of it now. And then once Gem City hit, we had like 2 weekends off, and then we just did a brand new convention down in Cincinnati area called Animatic Con, and then Free Comic Book Day this coming Saturday, and then Motor City the weekend after. So a little crazy.
So how does from an outsider's perspective looking in, okay, like obviously as a fan, as an enthusiast, as a collector, you look forward to the conventions and stuff, but from your perspective as an artist, as a colorist, this is part of the job. So I mean, do you look forward to it? I mean, especially when it gets back to back to back to back, do you even look forward to going to them, or is it like I'm excited, but man, shit, I wish I had a break? Or I mean,
it's to be honest, there's a little bit of both. I really enjoy going to conventions. I enjoy getting to meet new people and all that kind of stuff. And a lot of times it's one of the few times I get to see a lot of my friends is going to some of these conventions, because some of my friends, live hours away. And so it's, we all get to meet up in, say, like Detroit or Chicago, something like that. So it's like, there's all that preparation and the travel and all that stuff goes into it. That's the part I kind of dread, is just the, the long drive.
The logistics of it.
Yeah. But everything else about it, I enjoy. I have a good time while I'm there. Aside from, there might be some like bad things that might happen or whatever that can kind of throw the weekend off or whatnot. But for the most part, it's an enjoyable experience of, hanging out, with all my, thousands of closest friends, basically.
Now, when you're at these conventions, do you have enough time that you can kind of go around and, like, if there's an artist there or a writer or a cosplayer or a movie star or anybody there that you like would really like to see yourself, do you have some time that you can like go and enjoy the other people that are there, or is it just like straight work?
Well, if there's somebody I really want to see at a convention and it's something I absolutely want to do, I'll find a way to make time. Okay. Trying to think of one of the last cons I was at where it was like I absolutely had to go meet somebody. Like New York last year, for example, I really wanted to go to the cliffhanger reunion that they were doing. It was Joe Mad, Humberto Ramos, and J. Scott Campbell.
Okay.
I really wanted to go meet them, and I had a little bit more free time to go peruse the convention because I was there helping out a friend. But when I got to go to the table where they were all set up at, I saw the line was going to be like
Massive.
several hours of it was going to be several hours of standing and waiting. And as much as I wanted to go see them and go do that, it just wasn't going to happen because part of me just really did not want to stand in line for hours.
Man, can't you like pull some weight? Like, yo, what's up, homie? I got the table over here. Like, let me just go say hey.
Not usually.
Or do they have like a green room where you guys can like meet like back in the back or something? I mean, they should do that.
Some smaller shows do. And I have been lucky to, walk into like say the green room or something like that and get to run into somebody and say hi and get to chat. But that's also why, the quote BarCon is always the good thing to do in the evenings. I usually have much better experience going and meeting a lot of folks at the bar afterwards.
Okay. All right.
So it's like I said, I'll make time if there's somebody I really have to go see at a show. And like, we just talked about Lexington Comic-Con, and a friend of mine really wanted Jessica Nigri's autograph, and she wanted a photo. Mm-hmm. So Sunday morning, like as the show was opening up, I saw she was going to be at her table kind of like during the preview hours or the VIP hours early in the morning.
Oh, yeah.
And there was only a handful of people online. So I bolted to her line. I was like, I don't know, the 10th person in line or something goofy like that. And got to go get the photo and the autograph. And it was cool to get to meet her. I've, seen a lot of the stuff online, right. But I can't say that's like my big thing of like going to meet somebody.
Not necessarily a big thing for you, but I mean, if you're doing it for a friend, that's cool.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's plenty of opportunities for stuff like that.
So of the, before we get into the meat and potatoes of it, obviously you've been to a bunch of cons this year, let alone like across the board. Do you have like an annual favorite that you really like to go to, and also what's your favorite one that you've been to this year so far, early in the Comic-Con season or comic convention season?
Yeah, every year there's like 3 conventions that I really look forward to, all for varying reasons and all this kind of stuff. But Gem City in Dayton is usually like
I love that convention. It's so personal.
And that's absolutely what I love about it. It's small enough where it's personal. I can get to talk to everybody. And again, going back to the idea of like the BarCon thing, I can go hang out with all my friends, get to talk, get to see a lot of people. It's usually one of the shows earliest on in the year where it's kind of like we get back in the swing of things, get to see people that we haven't seen since like, October, November, something like that. So it's like we've had months off where we've been like vegetating in the house for winter and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, hey, we're at a con and it's, we get to see everybody.
Right.
Right. So that's, like I said, that's my big favorite thing out of the year. But I also really enjoy C2E2 because I love going to Chicago. I love the deep dish pizza and all the kind of craziness that goes with Chicago.
Giordano's, that's the spot, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been there. That's right.
Yeah. So that's something I look forward to every year. And in the last like 2 or 3 years, we've got it worked out really well where there's a group of friends that we all go out together. We all caravan out there. We share the hotel room. So we get to hang out for the weekend. Plus, it's one of the big enough shows where it's like I get to see a lot of folks that it's maybe the only time out of the year I get to see them. And, going back to what we were just talking about, it's like there's a lot of times there's people there that I really want to go meet or go see, and I get that opportunity because it's a close enough show that I can get to and get to go see people that I'm a fan of.
That probably helps a lot, being able to set up a caravan.
Yeah.
For something like that where because I'm sure you're bringing tons of materials and merch to sell and just all kinds of stuff, including pencils and probably your art tablet and all kinds of shit, I imagine.
Oh yeah. I mean, we usually have the car packed on our own, and then the last couple of years, we've worked in two friends that we'll caravan out there with, and so we kind of split some of the stuff between two cars, and then we trade off on who's riding in what car and that kind of thing to, you know, pass the 6 hour drive or whatever, and we just make the whole weekend as fun of an experience as we can, I guess, and just do our thing.
I imagine as you do these, I imagine as you do these comic book conventions, the same, because it has to be somewhat repetitive, and that's not necessarily a bad thing because, like you said, some of them you really really enjoy, but the process of it has to be somewhat repetitive, doing the same thing over and over and over. I think that that's probably a really important part of of doing it is finding ways to really make it a little more enjoyable than it was last year. Every year, just kind of crank the notch just one more click over on the dial each year.
Right, and that's what I think has been a help, if you will, over the last couple of years of doing these, because it does almost get to the point where it's a little bit monotonous because it is the same thing. It's like, okay, yeah, we're going back to this place or we're going back to that place. What do we change up? Well, it's change up the stuff like, okay, where do we go get food? Sometimes it's we've got our favorite spot and we go there every time we're there, and other times it's like, oh, let's throw in something new in the mix. They just opened up this restaurant, or hey, I saw this restaurant on Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives, or something goofy like that.
Right.
So we throw that in the mix, and then as far as being at the show, it's kind of like trying to throw in new stuff of like, okay, what kind of like new artwork can I take? What can I do to change my setup? It's all that kind of craziness that goes into it as well. Just trying to keep things, I guess, as fresh as possible. Basically all the way around, not just hey, we're going back to Detroit or we're going back to Chicago or whatever. Try to change it up as best we can.
Yeah, and in all honesty, anybody that's listening to this or watching this that hasn't had the privilege or the opportunity to meet with Sean Forney or see him at a convention live, I can tell you firsthand, I've been to I would say a fair amount, probably 4 or 5 events that Sean has been attending, and I can tell you from firsthand experience, even within the same con season, he changes his setup from one convention to the next. I can see him at the Gym City Comic Con, and he'll have a different setup than he has at the Lexington Comic Con. It's if you haven't been to a comic book convention, if you're in the I don't know, the Ohio, Indiana, tri-state area, or if you're going to San Diego Comic-Con this year, make sure you take a minute and go to his table, because he's bringing fresh stuff each time. It's different stuff. And one thing, Sean, that I have to tip my hat to you is that I've noticed, not just for me, that I mean, obviously we know each other. Every time we see each other, we stop and say hi, how's it going, what's new, how's the family, all that stuff. But I noticed that even with people that you most likely don't know on a first name basis, you stop and you talk to them. Even if you're working on a piece, even if you're setting some stuff up, you stop and you talk with the fans, which I think goes a long way in the eyes of the fans. So got to tip my hat to you there for sure.
Thank you. Basically, I wouldn't be doing this if there weren't fans coming up to the table. So, as much respect as they're giving me by doing that, I need to repay that. And, I'm very thankful and gracious of the fact that somebody's going to come up and, even just flip through a book or flip through a portfolio. That speaks volumes to me. So I want to try to give that back in some way, shape, or form. And, if it means, having a 5-minute conversation, or there was some folks it's maybe just a hey, how's it going, and maybe that's it. But I try my best to acknowledge everybody and try to make that convention experience as enjoyable as possible for everybody, because I've been on that side of the table. I know what it's like to go walk up to an artist you like or a writer you like and I've definitely had the experience of, that person didn't make eye contact, didn't talk to me, kind of blew me off, and I know how that feels. So I don't want to do that to anybody.
Right. Now, I understand, and I'm sure there's plenty of people, hopefully, that are listening to this podcast that would agree with with me that you don't do that stuff. You take the extra, and it really doesn't take that much extra time, but you take the extra time. And honestly, the person that it really reminds me of, the one other artist that was high up on my list that I wanted to meet was George Perez. Really. He came across the very much similar. I did not know the man. I had never met the man. I mean, yes, I stood in line, paid, I don't know, $25, $30 or something to have him do. If I move my head to the side, you can see the Thanos sketch on the wall there. But he goes the extra mile of, talking to you while he's sketching, taking a picture with you with the sketch when he's done, and just making sure that the experience is something that's memorable for the fan, which is invaluable. It's something that you can't pay for because it's there forever. I don't know. It's hard to explain. I wish I could put it into words.
Oh yeah, no, I totally get you. And I've had the pleasure of meeting George Perez twice in the last few years, and both times were great experiences. The first time I met him, I was helping a friend out at a show, and Mr. Perez actually came over to introduce himself to my buddy, but my buddy had gone back to the hotel room already. So he actually took the time, introduced himself, even though he really didn't need to. It's not like I didn't know who the man was. And I was just blown away by that. I mean, he was super nice, took the time, shake my hand, talk to me, chit chat, whatever. And, stuff that he didn't need to do. He just could have said, "Oh, if your buddy's not here, I'm going back to my table," something like that. But instead, he took that time and effort to do that. And somehow at a show, I ended up at dinner with him. And he took the time to go around and introduce himself to like all 20 people that were at the dinner.
That's, you say that, and it reminds me actually when I quote unquote met him by standing in line at his table. He did the same thing. I'm thinking back. It was myself and my fiance, and we were waiting in line to get him to draw, do the sketch. And when we got to the front of the line, before he wanted to know what we wanted to draw or anything, he extends his hand and introduces himself as George Perez. It's like, well, I mean, you have a nameplate on your table right here, and clearly everybody standing in this line knows who you are, for sure. But that really does add that personal touch, that little something extra that not a lot of, you don't get that with some of the artists, and I'm not going to name names or anything like that, but some of the artists you see at these things, they come across as, for lack of a better word, peddlers. They just, what do I got to do to make the sale? What do I got to do to sell you 2 instead of 1 or 3 instead of 2? And
sure.
That's an unfortunate side effect of some of these things. And it's not just small artists. Sometimes it's the big artists that I've noticed that do this as well. But Mr. Perez was definitely not one of them. And I never got that feeling with you either at your table. With me, my friends that I've been with, or the other people that are shopping through your wares, if you will, while I'm standing around and I'm just kind of observing what's going on. But speaking of fans, the last time we had you on, you were talking about, and I have to apologize to you. I have been so busy and I have not followed up with you. I still want to get with you about the Twitch channel stuff. But how is the Twitch channel going? You've been doing some artwork on Twitch, right?
I've been trying to. Unfortunately, I had probably like a month where I couldn't get on there and do so much. I tried it out a couple times last week. Kind of changed the setup. Whereas the first few times I tried it out, I was drawing on my computer. This last time I did a couple of actual commissions, so I was actually at my drawing table and I was working with actual pencils and pens and stuff like that. It's going pretty well. I need to learn a little bit more about like the software and stuff for doing the streaming to get it to work a little bit better for me, because when I was working on my computer, I had a lot of lag using Photoshop, so it made it very difficult to get much done to actually show people. So I got some kinks to work out, obviously, and I'm going to try figuring that out a little bit more as soon as I got a little bit more time to actually test it out and figure out what I need to change in the setup.
Well, that's part of the process with anything. I mean, I mean, we went through a very rough growing pains patch when we were first starting out on the podcast, even just kind of figuring out the platform we wanted to use, the software we wanted to use, kind of just the dynamic of the whole thing and how the flow of it. I have nothing but faith that you're gonna kind of figure it out, and it'll be. I still believe that this is, especially for aspiring artists, this will be a very, very valuable tool for them to use to kind of see some tips and tricks of the trade that a professional is using in his real. It's not just I'm doing this for fun. This is like real work. These are commissions. These are things that people are paying you to produce, and to be able to see kind of peek around the curtain and see that it's got to be valuable as an aspiring artist. I have to believe that.
That's my hope, and that's what I want to try to kind of cater to in a way. So I'm going to keep playing with it and see what I can do. I'm hoping this week that maybe I can get a little bit of time to stream a few commissions, but this week will be a little bit crazy with the what do they call it, like superhero week or fandom week or something. I can't even think of the name of it that everybody's been using, but we got the whole May the 4th and Civil War.
May 4th, Civil War, and
Free Comic Book Day.
Jeez, oh Pete, this is gonna be ridiculous. I don't even.
Yeah.
I don't know. Man,
trying to prepare myself.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, every year for the last not every year, for the last 2 years, we did live podcasting from a local comic book shop for Free Comic Book Day, and it went so well that the comic book shop. They love having us out every year, and they ask us sometimes months in advance, hey, you guys going to come back out and do it again? This year we've opted to kind of take a break from it so that we can enjoy Free Comic Book Day. But it went over so well that they actually had another group that wants to come in, and I'm not sure if they're doing podcast or if they're like demoing a game or some kind of something. But somebody else wants to come in and take our space. And I thought that was really cool. I thought that was, I'm not upset about it at all because we don't do this for money. Our podcast, at least at this point in the future, maybe it'll generate money. But at this point, our podcast doesn't generate any revenue. Everything that we do is free of charge. We don't do anything for profit at all right now. As far as, like when we go for the Free Comic Book Day, it's all like, yeah, this will be fun. Like, will you let us come in and set up? Like, we'll come in and we'll try and entertain the crowd for an hour or so, and it's gone over really well. But it's really interesting to see that somebody that was in the crowd over the last 2 years got an idea to do something similar and is now kind of pitched that idea, and then they're going to do the same kind of thing. So it's a really neat concept, and I'm really happy to see that it's kind of catching on, and I'm hoping that your idea about doing the Twitch streaming and stuff kind of catches on, and we see more and more of that stuff going around. I think that can be the next big trend in art.
Yeah, that's sure. I'm gonna hopefully not give too much away, or have somebody swipe it before I get a chance to do it. But we are gonna attempt doing it at a con at some point. Actually do a little bit of live stream right from the con. So
kind of like they do in the in the sessions where you can go and watch the artist, and they have like they're like drawing on a projector almost or whatever. And
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm gonna try streaming from a con and see how it goes. I might. I don't know if I'll be able to do Twitch because I'm still trying to work out the logistics of all the junk I'd have to take to do it. So it might be on Periscope. One or the other. I'm going to give it a shot and see what happens.
Twitch can be a little cumbersome sometimes. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
I've played with it a little bit from time to time, but I can talk to you off air sometime. I've got a little bit of insight about what I've gone through, and I have a device that helps streaming to Twitch pretty good, pretty
Oh,
seamlessly.
cool,
It's
cool,
one program that kind of takes what's on your screen and just puts it on there.
cool. Yeah, I
So
appreciate that.
so we can chat a little bit about that. Let's let's stop burying the lead. There's a reason that we're here, and I'm excited about this because it's been what 3 years in the making. I think I read. Is that correct?
Yeah. 3 years, maybe a little plus, but yeah, 3 years that I've been working on this project.
Okay, so
Uh,
there's a big project that he's been working on for quite some time. It's actually news to me. He reached out to me maybe a week, 2 weeks ago,
yeah.
and said, "Hey, I've got this project. I'm really excited about this. We've got it up on Kickstarter, and I've been working on it for a while, and I would really love to tell your listeners about it so that they might have the opportunity to kind of check out some of the stuff that I'm working on." And I checked it out, and instantly, I'm telling you, and Sean will vouch for this, within about 30 seconds of clicking on the link to check it out, I was like, yes. When? Yes, we're gonna definitely talk about this for sure. It's the Geeky Goddesses, and it's not a calendar, right? It's like a portfolio. Is that or
Yeah, it's going to be like a perfect bound, basically comic book size. It'll be an art book. It's 48 pages total right now. It's going to have basically all my thought process and went into creating each image. There should be, I think, 17 images when it's all said and done, but there's going to be like all the thumbnail sketches, the preliminary sketches, the final art, everything that led up to the piece of final art is going to be in the book as well. So it'll be 48 pages of sketches and thumbnails and all this kind of stuff, plus the finished piece of pinup art that's all based on some models that I was very fortunate to become friends with in some way, shape, or form. They're all either a cosplayer or they're into video games or something of that nature.
okay.
That they're into the whole idea. So I shot photos with each one of them. There's 5 different models that I've worked with on this project, and each pinup has some sort of nerd theme of like for example, I kind of went with the idea of doing something that was pirate themed. So I mixed like a little bit of like generic pirate stuff you'd see everywhere with a little bit of Captain Hook, and then I tried to make it pinup oriented, and so it has a little bit of the model's likeness to it, and then it has just kind of my twist on what I think a pirate pinup would look like. And each image kind of has that theme where it's like I did my version of the Ice Queen from Frozen, but my version of it kind of harkens back to the original story that Frozen came from. I've got my twist on like a mermaid, and I'm going to do some of like the classic monster stuff like a werewolf and Dracula and the Mummy, all these types of things. So yeah, just kind of all this stuff rolled into one that I've come up with over the last few years. And there's still a few pieces yet that I haven't finished that I'll work on once the Kickstarter is funded and done with.
So this project, you mentioned you've been working on it for 3.5 years now.
Yeah. It started out a couple years back, and I had the idea I wanted to do this whole pinup thing. And initially I did want to do it as a calendar, and that's something that still may happen. I was really inspired at the time by J. Scott Campbell doing these fantasy calendars for the last couple of years, and it was also inspired by a lot of different cosplayers. So I brought it up to a friend of mine. She loved the idea of it. We got together. We shot a handful of photos. I started generating some ideas, and I did like I think 2 pinups at the time, based on some of the stuff I came up with initially. But it was just like, I think I went a little bit too broad with it, and I was going for like ideas that I didn't think everybody was going to get the way I wanted to do it. So after like I don't know, there was something I saw with a couple of different cosplayers in their costumes, and they had done these like unique takes on stuff like it was like Pokemon, and I don't know. There's some oddball things that I was like, okay, that works. I see where they got the idea from. It doesn't look anything like, say, the character, but
right.
There's enough of it there that I got the grasp of what they were going for. I was like, okay, I like this. And so I sat down and I started making a list. And somewhere in the meantime, I contacted one other friend that happened to be a model, and she was down for the whole idea. And then I started working off of those ideas that I came up with. And then after doing that for like a year, where I had like 3 or 4 of them kind of finished up, and I had them as prints. I got fortunate enough to make friends with a couple other people that were cosplayers, models, and kind of pitched them the idea, and they were sold on it. They wanted to work with me on it, and I think right now I have 11 or 12 finished pieces of art based off of this whole idea that I've been working on.
Oh, wow.
We decided to launch the Kickstarter. Like I said, I think there's like 5 pieces yet I want to do to finish out the book. They're all kind of in process right now, and I just decided to run with it. And we put together the Kickstarter last week, before we went to the con last weekend. So I guess it was actually 2 weeks ago. My wife started putting together everything on the Kickstarter, since we kind of had some of the ins and outs figured out with Kickstarter from when we did the Scarlet Huntress Kickstarter like 3 years ago. Made it a lot easier for us. My wife typed up a bunch of the stuff, got it all put in there. We sat there, went through the artwork that we had, got everything finished up. And our experience in the past was like, it took like a week or so for Kickstarter to approve these things. Turned out that when she hit submit, it was done and ready to go. So it launched like a week earlier than we expected.
So it's been up for what, a week now? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it's been up for just a little over a week.
Okay,
so Saturday was a week.
As we're recording this, it's been up for 9 days. Okay, so for those of you that are listening, and we're going to give you some details about where you can find this. Those of you that are listening or watching, this Kickstarter has been up for 9 days. It already has 58 backers. It has a goal of $1,200 to get launched. It's already raised $1,500. Okay, so there's still 35 days left to go on this thing. It's obviously a hot ticket item. If you guys are comic book fans, if this is something that you're going to like, you need to jump on this for sure. He's got a ton of very specific different packages that you can buy with different donations amounts, ranging from $3 all the way up to, I want to say, $250.
Yeah, so somewhere in that ballpark. Yeah, the easiest thing to do if you want to pledge and back and see all the artwork is $3 gets you a digital copy of the book. It'll be available through Drive-Thru Comics. If anybody backed the Scarlet Huntress Kickstarter or has been to Drive-Thru Comics before, it's just a downloadable PDF.
Drive-Thru Comics is awesome. They actually hooked up with us on the podcast and provided us with. God, I can't even begin to tell you how many comic books they've sent us digitally through their website. It's a really nice setup that they have.
Yeah, they're great. They're great to work with. They give me a great opportunity to make these available for everybody that backs the Kickstarter. So that's the easiest way to jump on board. And then everything after that includes a print copy of the book, and then there's packages that have prints and original art and sketches and so on and so forth. And right now we've already hit one stretch goal at $1,500. Everybody that backs the project at that $5 level, where they get the print, or excuse me, they get the print copy of the book. That package entitles everybody to get 2 weekend passes to Gem City Comic Con 2017.
Oh, wow.
So everybody that backed at that starting level will get tickets to go to the con. Now, obviously, there's people from like all over the place. I actually have one backer from Australia who's awesome and has shared this thing and all this for me. I think coming to Dayton's probably going to be a little bit tricky, but
probably not going to happen. But
right. But the cool thing is, Gem City offered this up to me, and they're going to get exclusive tickets with artwork from the book on the tickets. So the tickets themselves will be collector's items.
Oh wow, that's cool. That's really cool. That's something neat, right, in and of itself.
Yeah, yeah. So I thought that idea was great when they brought it up to me. So they're being awesome and helping out with this whole thing. And the next goal that we're trying to reach is $2,000. I'd really like to get to this goal because this is like one of the key reasons I wanted to do this whole thing. Is we're going to make a coloring book available.
Oh shit. Okay.
So it'll be all like 16, 17 images in black and white that you can color yourself. I
All right.
I don't know. I've been just kind of dumbfounded in the whole idea of the adult coloring books that have come out in the last like year or
My
so.
fiance just got one the other day, and she has been balls deep in that shit, like
Yep.
loving it. And you know what? I told her I was like, I'm about to get some coloring pencils, and I'm gonna get me a fucking Harry Potter adult coloring book, and I'm gonna go to town on that shit because
Right, right.
it looks relaxing. Like you just
Yeah,
everything you're not thinking about shit else other than just coloring it.
yeah. And that's the thing. It's like there's been all sorts of articles that have come out and have really pushed this thing where how coloring is therapeutic and all this kind of stuff. Exactly like you said, you're not thinking about anything else. You're just sitting there laying down colored pencils or crayons or markers or whatever on a piece of paper. Takes you back to your childhood, that
For
kind of
sure.
thing. So I saw all this stuff and I'm like, there's a perfect opportunity. Let's do this thing as a coloring book too. So I'm trying to push this thing so we can get that goal. And then I think you can't quote me on this. You have to look at the Kickstarter, but it's like at $25 or $30 or something like that. Everybody that backs it at that
Everyone
level,
who pledges $15 or more
okay,
will get a coloring
$15.
book at 2,000
Yes.
if we reach $2,000. All right, now god damn it, I have to put this out there. He's going to be all politically correct about it because this is his project and that's just him. That's not me. Motherfuckers, if you are comic book fans, if you are true fans of comic book art, if you are collectors, this is something that you can definitely appreciate. Get off your ass, go over to Kickstarter, type in Geeky Goddesses, and donate some money to this. Donate $15. Get yourself the digital copy. Get yourself the hard copy also, and the coloring book. I believe is what you get for
Yeah.
$15. Come on, like let's talk about this for a minute. Plus, I think you throw in. It looks like on some of these for $15, you're throwing in an 11 by 17 print of one of the pages, depending on which page you want. So
Yep.
there's a ton of options here. This is totally worth it. $15, you can't buy that. You go to a comic book convention, you get one print for $15, $20. He's giving you a print, he's giving you a hard copy book, he's giving you a digital copy and an adult coloring book. All we got to do is reach $2,000. Go over there and do it. Let's show them that we got support. The Comic Book Nerd Nation wants to support Sean Forney. He's supported the podcast. Let's support his project. Get over to Kickstarter and let's blow this thing up. Let's hit $2,000 in the next week. I don't want to see it coming down to the wire. Let's hit this soon, for sure.
Yeah, that's my hope. That's what I want to see happen, and I still got other stretch goals in mind. So if we pass $2,000,
Man.
there's some other things in the works, and one of those happens to be a calendar. I haven't fully finalized the rest of the stretch goals yet, but that will be an option. So, if we get enough backers that this thing is successful enough,
I mean,
they'll be.
It's looking really good right now. You got 58 backers, 35 days to go, and I was just to kind of prepare for the podcast today. I wanted to kind of familiarize myself with. Obviously, I'd already read through it once, but I wanted to just go through and brush up on it and see where it was at. You've got people that have backed this thing all the way up to I think $200 or $250 already.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
so,
I had. Yeah, because the higher end packages is that the original art for the pinup image.
yeah. So I mean, there's some really cool stuff here. If you're an art collector, like I mean, you can see on the walls behind me. I like collecting some original art. There's plenty of people out there. I've got actually you might be able to catch it in frame. You can see actually one of your Batman pieces up on the wall. I've got a Hulk print over here also. This is a big thing, guys. It's not your average Kickstarter where you're just kind of paying for just the product. You're getting some really, really cool stuff with this. Original art can be very, very expensive. I mean, I've seen original art pieces go for thousands of dollars in some cases. 150 bucks isn't anything for an original art piece for a released product for sure. So let's go over there and support it. Again, it's Kickstarter.com. Search Geeky Goddesses. You could probably also search Sean Forney, SeanForney, and it should pop right up for you.
Yeah, that should give you a link to it. And if not, if you go to any of my social media, I've been posting the links, trying to spread the word on it. So there's one or more ways to easily find it.
Social media is let me see if I got this right here. It's Facebook. You got Sean Forney Art, and then
Sean Forney Illustration is the Facebook link.
Well, you might as well pitch him. I'm already fucking it up.
So yeah, that's the Facebook page, but my Instagram, Tumblr, Twitter, Twitch are all Sean Forney Art.
Okay, that's what I thought. I knew something was Sean Forney Art. So yeah, make sure you follow him on Facebook. He's always posting cool pictures from the conventions and different pieces that he's working on. I follow him on Facebook and Twitter, and I don't have Instagram or any of that other shit. I can't keep track of just Facebook as it is. So make sure you guys check all that stuff out. I want to talk about a couple news points with you. How you feel about that? Let's get nerdy for a minute.
All right.
Netflix just announced that they have ordered a Punisher series with Jon Bernthal as Frank Castle. And anybody that doesn't know the name Jon Bernthal right off the bat, he was the gentleman. Oh my God, he was the second police officer, not Rick from Walking Dead.
Shane.
Shane, yes, thank you. Saving me again. Shane from Walking Dead. What do you think about that?
He was awesome in season 2 of Daredevil as Punisher.
And that's what the Netflix, I think it was the CEO or vice president of Netflix, announced that they ordered the series based solely on his performance in that, in the Daredevil series. They were like, nope, done, sold, gotta have it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I haven't got to read the article on it yet, but I saw all the announcements over the weekend about it, and it's incredible because his role in that was great. He was Punisher brought to life versus, we've seen the other versions of Punisher in on movies and stuff, and it's like they were kind of watered down, and this was full on.
That's an understatement if I've ever heard one. Watered down.
Yeah.
Oh, they were pitiful.
Yeah, so now we get the tough as nails, psychotic Frank Castle. I mean,
I'm pumped to see it. I really am. This is what an incredible time that we're living in right now. That literally any comic book character is up for grabs to be put onto either Netflix or the movie screen or television. I mean, it's never been like this before. It hasn't.
Yeah. It's incredible. And to see how successful it is. And it's not like the stuff of years past where it's like, we got random superhero movies or random something based on a comic book where it, just kind of lightly pulled from the source material. Mm-hmm. Now this stuff is like, Deadpool, for example. It's pulled right from the book,
That is straight out of the pages.
Yeah, and it's great. It's not only, do they have the technology to do some of this stuff, but it's like they also have the right creative teams, the right actors and actresses, the mm-hmm. director, the writer, so on and so forth. All those little bits and pieces are finally come into play where everything works and it works well.
And what I love about it is they finally have the interest. The demand is finally there. Those of us like you and me and the people listening to this podcast, we've been supporting this stuff forever. We've been solely behind this genre, this kind of topic or uh, genre of book and art for as long as we can remember, and there just wasn't that media coverage. There wasn't that outlet in the cinema or on television because there wasn't, other people just didn't support it. It was always kind of looked down upon in the past, like, oh, that's nerdy stuff, that's child's, that's for kids or whatever. And finally it's getting the respect and it's getting the attention that it really deserves. And it's, I mean, the proof's in the pudding. It's crushing.
Yeah.
The box office is dominated by comic book material. It's dominated.
Oh yeah,
It's completely dominated.
I just read earlier today that Civil War is opened international, and already international it's over $200 million.
Yeah, 200 million. Jeez, oh, Pete.
Yeah, and it's still yet to open here.
It hasn't even opened in America yet.
Yeah, so it's, it's, I don't know. It makes me think of that saying where it's like, when by the time you're an adult or whatever, you go and you buy your childhood back at twice the price or whatever that is.
That is the damn truth, man. That is the damn truth.
It's all the stuff that I remember growing up with and at the time going, man, it'd be awesome if we saw this stuff as movies or we saw this on TV or whatever. And, it's finally come to fruition. And I part of me would like to think that I think there's a lot of, like-minded people that are now in charge. They've now all reached that age where it's like, I'm in charge. We
got the steering wheel now. Watch out, bitches.
Yeah. And it's, it's playing in, our generations, it's our playground or whatever,
I would say that's probably a big part of it is the people that grew up with it are now running the show, and we know how to do business now, and we know how to enjoy comic books.
Right.
It's an incredible time. It really is. It's fantastic. Just watching it all develop and evolve, and I mean, you can't go to any store. I don't give a shit if it's a grocery store, Walmart, a Target, a Kmart, whatever, and you can't go to any of those and not see something to do with comic books.
Oh yeah.
It's everywhere now. It's everywhere. It's awesome.
Oh yeah, and it's crazy how it, like, I don't know, the quote brings people together or whatever. It's like, the silliest example is back around Halloween. No, had to have been later than that, I think. It was after Star Wars came out, so it must have been like after the New Year or something. Met up with some friends, and we went to dinner, and we were at a restaurant where it was all bar seating. So you're sitting there with your friends, plus you're sitting there with complete strangers. And I happened to be on the end, and I'm sitting there talking to my buddy, and there's two older ladies that come and sit next to me, and I'm thinking they were probably in their 70s, and I'm talking to my buddy, and we're kind of chit-chatting and eating and whatever, and I at one point overhear something about the theater and Star Wars. My ears perked up, I'm like, I'm kind of half listening. Kind of half listening to the conversation, and they're talking about going and seeing Star Wars for like the second or third time. And like I stopped in my tracks, and I'm like,
talk about bridging gaps.
Yeah. And so
damn.
I got into a conversation with the two ladies, and the one of them had seen all but one Star Wars film at the same theater here in town since 1977. The only one she didn't see, the only one that she did not see here, I think, was Return of the Jedi, because she lived down the street from George Lucas at the time.
Oh, well, I mean,
yeah. So I was blown away, and it was like, and so we get to talking about Star Wars, and the two friends that were having dinner with us, they hadn't seen it yet, and one of them has like never seen a Star Wars movie ever.
Oh, come on, they're doing it wrong.
Yeah. And so these ladies are like, you need to go see it, and you need to go see the movie now. And it's like they're playing it at the theater in like another half hour or something like that. And I was just blown away to see
that's so
two
awesome.
Nerds that were so unassuming that never in a million years would I pick them out of the crowd.
That's so awesome.
Oh, they're giant Star Wars nerds. No, that was just
That's
blew me away.
fucking great. That's what I love
Yeah,
about it. That's what I love about it. Uh,
yeah,
you mentioned a minute ago, and I have one other thing I want to talk about before we get there, though. You mentioned paying more to bring back things from our childhood, and
yeah.
it just this past weekend, my fiance and I, we were out shopping for some comic books, and I'm collecting some old stuff that is kind of you got to kind of go pick and choose and hunt for. And we have an old Nintendo system, just the regular NES Nintendo system. And growing up, I had a ton of these games when I was a kid that I'd busted my ass for chore money and saved up and bought boxes of these bitches. And
Yeah.
I'm looking at them on the walls, and one of my favorite games as a kid was the DuckTales game.
Oh, yeah,
And I
yeah.
was just thinking, man, it'd be really nice to get that game back again and play that one more time. $75
Wow.
for a fucking Nintendo game. They had Nintendo games for over $100. I couldn't believe it. I was just like, you gotta be. I mean, this is like what? Those 16 bits, like good 8-bit. What? I mean, I don't even remember.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
this is
Yeah, that would have
come
been
on.
8-bit. Yeah.
Yeah, like this is like my cell phone could do a way better job than this. Like what the
Right.
like? How are you charging me
Right.
this much money? But it's that nostalgia. It's that taking you back to the time when you didn't have to worry about bills and everything else, and just for a moment of that is priceless. It really is.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
incredible.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
my
it's-
fiance and her one of her best friends sat in the living room this past weekend and played Super Mario on Super Nintendo for 4 or 5 hours, just
Oh, yeah.
having a ball.
We did that. It's probably been like 5 or 6 years ago. For a Christmas present, my wife got me a game system that played original NES and Sega Genesis games.
Oh, okay. I've seen those.
So we got that, and she bought like a handful of games from somewhere. I don't even know where she found them initially, and we got Super Mario Brothers 3.
Oh,
We went to my
we
folks'
got that
house
one. Oh man.
We went to my folks' house for Christmas vacation. I think we spent most of Christmas vacation in my old bedroom playing Mario
Playing
and yelling
Mario.
at the TV.
Just like you were 10 years old again.
Yeah,
Oh,
sitting there yelling at Mario to run and jump and all this kind of craziness.
daggone. Well, the last thing that I wanted to cover, and we just have to cover this as legitimized comic book fans, is they finally released a trailer for the animated Killing Joke movie that's going to be coming out with Kevin Conroy voicing Batman and Mark Hamill voicing Joker. This thing looks incredible. I am so excited for this movie.
Yeah, I haven't got to watch the full trailer yet. I got to catch a couple minutes or a couple seconds of it like over the weekend. I need to sit down and actually watch the whole thing through. But what little I caught, it looks great, and the story is one of the most like
Prolific.
revered stories.
Oh,
yeah. So for them to finally bring it out, and in everything I've read, they are sticking to the story.
I think
And
they're adding a little bit. From what I heard, they're going to add a little bit of Barbara Gordon's backstory. But other than that,
Yeah.
it's like, I mean, watching the trailer, it literally was like, oh shit, I'm reading the book again.
Yeah,
I mean, it literally felt like I was listening to Kevin Conroy as Batman read the fucking book to me, because
Yeah.
it was like the images were dead on. I mean, just everything across the board from Commissioner Gordon being dressed up all goofy and in the circus, to the Joker with his Hawaiian shirt on. Excuse me. To all of it. Every last bit of it. The scene where he sits down with him at the asylum and says, "Look, we need to talk. You and me." And it's just, oh my gosh, everything about that trailer was legendary. I would have been excited just for that that clip, like, hey, we made 2 minutes of the Killing Joke into a couple of clips, you know what I mean? Like, I'd have paid
Yeah, yeah.
I'd have paid $5 just to see that, probably. Like, let alone
Yeah.
the whole movie. This is a must buy on my list for sure.
Yeah, yeah. I'm excited to see it, and I actually just recently finally got to watch both the Dark Knight Returns animated features that they did a couple years ago, and those were great. I mean, they pulled exact, everything from the book, and so I'm really impressed to see, the way they did that and see what they're going to do with this one.
Now, do you think that they will release this to theaters?
I
Or
don't
do you
know.
think
I
they'll
mean,
go
they,
straight
they
to
haven't
DVD?
done that in a while.
I think
So
they should. I think they should go
yeah,
just go balls deep on it. Just go straight to theater.
yeah,
I mean, it's not going to pull Civil War numbers, but it's going to do all right for sure.
yeah, yeah. I mean, they did pretty well with it back when they did. What was that, Batman: Mask of the Phantasm? That was like the first animated feature they did.
Yep.
I think they should give it a shot. I mean, it might be a little bit of a hard sell with it being R-rated and all that, but I think it would be worth it. It'd definitely be worth it for the fans.
Oh, for sure. And I if you're gonna do it, now's the time.
Yeah,
Because the iron's hot as hell. Everything comic books sells like crazy right now, and it's a phenomenal story. I mean, it's definitely an adult base. I mean, it's definitely an adult story for sure.
Yeah, well, and there was so much worry with Deadpool being rated R and all this jazz. And,
crushed it.
yeah, it's now the top rated R movie of all time, and
awesome.
yeah, it's
I can't wait. I can't wait to buy the Blu-ray just for the deleted scenes and shit. Oh my god, that's gonna be fantastic.
Oh yeah,
it's gonna be as good as the movie. It's gonna be like watching a whole nother movie.
Oh yeah. Yeah, apparently there was so much stuff that was, cut out because they were ad-libbing so much stuff. Yeah, there should be hours of material on there.
Oh, I'm sure. It's going to be amazing. Well, we've about ran out of time for this episode. Sean, I can't thank you enough for bailing me out and jumping on and joining me today for a little chat. Guys, make sure you check out his Kickstarter. In all honesty, Geeky Goddesses on Kickstarter.com. Sean Forney Illustration on Facebook. Sean Forney Art on everything else you can imagine for social media. That's it for this week. I'm Fox2, and we got Sean Forney.
Thank you.